We ready? We ready? Is that working?
Ready. I think we can kind of hear you.
Kind of hear me?
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to, what is this, February's Town Hall with Mayor Chadwick, Chief Hessing, and Chief Kaminsky. The mayor and the chiefs do this every month, and so we're excited to have them here. We're using the mics because we have this online. We think we already have a question online, actually, as well today. We have some distinguished guests with us, so we're grateful to have Commissioner Gold with us from ACHD, and it looks like she's got a team from ACHD here with us today. We might talk about some traffic things then, it sounds like. These town halls are great, and they are great because they involve questions from each of you. We've heard the things that they will say from a city staff and many people in the city time and time again. It's the questions that you have and the comments that you have that really make these things interactive. So I really encourage you to do that. I will bring a microphone to you so that we can get your question online. And then that way everybody will be able to have the chance to hear that. We usually let the chiefs arm wrestle for who goes first. And then they alternate. And then the mayor kind of will kick in there a little bit as well. And so I'm just going to go ahead and turn it over to Chief Kaminsky. He'll introduce himself, and then he'll turn it over. We'll have Zach introduce himself, and then to the mayor, and then we'll begin. Again, if you have a question, raise your hand. I'll bring you the microphone, and we'll have a good conversation.
Do you want me to just talk, or we want us to arm wrestle?
Yeah, just go ahead and introduce yourself a little bit, and then we'll have Zach introduce himself.
Okay.
And then we'll come back and we'll do your department discussion. Yeah.
Greg Kaminsky, I'm the fire chief of Middleton and Star Fire Districts.
Too many phones. I'm Chief Zach Hessing, Star Police Department.
And I'm Mayor Trevor Chadwick, if you didn't know that. And we also have, I think, our SRO from Star Middle will be joining us here shortly too. Must be what you're here for, right? Takeuchi is going to come here so we can talk about that as well. So, do you want to start with?
Well, let's start. Any questions before we begin?
We can start off with questions if you guys want, or if you want to hear some updates from these guys.
Yeah, I'm back here, Mayor.
Okay, let's get the question going. Hey.
My name's Marcia Takeuchi from Star, of course. When you use terminology, acronyms like SRO, ACHD, could you, like for me?
Yes, SRO, sorry. We're a world of acronyms, and you're supposed to guess, right? It's a school resource officer. Yeah, that's what the SRO is. ACHD is Ada County Highway District. So they're the ones that are in charge of all the local roads in Ada County side of Star. We have 3 road departments. We have ITD that does the state highways, and then Highway District 4 that does the local roads on the Canyon County side of Star. So you'll hear HT4, ITD, and ACHD. Just so you're aware. All right. That's a great question. That's a good point. We just take that for granted sometimes since we've been in this world for so long that that everybody knows what that is. So do we want to start with Chief?
Yeah, let's go ahead and have Chief Kaminsky begin.
All right. Middleton and Star Fire District. So anybody that doesn't know, we operate as one, but we are 2 separate fire districts. We have 2 separate boards with 2 separate budgets. But the state of Idaho gives us the ability to have a joint powers agreement to operate as one fire department. And what that does for the folks in Star and the folks in Middleton is it saves about $640,000 a year in overhead costs. We share a lot of all the administrative positions, and all the way down to the battalion chief level. And then anything below that is our crews are all mixed up. They all wear the same shirt. If you've been to one of our public information meetings, I mentioned this. And we try to keep it separate, but our crews are all together as one. All the budgets are separate. Everything is reimbursed back and forth, so no fire district is supplementing another in any way, shape, or form. The other thing that we have going on is the fire district is looking for a levy increase, which if you've looked at your ballot over the last year in May and in November, it was on there, and we're required to have a 66 2/3% to pass that. And we have been successful in doing that so far. It will be on the ballot again in November.
May?
Excuse me, May, you're right. Thank you. And it was on last November, but it'll be in May. And we are putting these public information meetings, which I'll hand one of these sheets out to everybody before they leave. I really encourage people to come and learn about their fire district. It's May 18th. In Star, it'll be at 4 o'clock. In Middleton, it'll be at 6 o'clock. And they're both the same information. So if you can't make one, you can make the other. And what we do is take a deep dive into why we need a levy increase. Some of the major questions is why in the world would you be building a fire station if you can't staff it? And it's a great question. And so we go into that, which I'll go into a little bit today. And that has to do with our impact fees. So since 2018, we've been collecting impact fees from every new building that has been built. And so we had a plan before 2021
Just in case.
to staff that fire station in 2025 when it was complete. In 2020, our legislature passed a House bill that was a property tax reduction, which everybody appreciates. But when property taxes are reduced and you're a special district like a fire district, it's 100% reliant on property tax. It is tough to grow your budget. We're limited to growing our budget only 8%. And at 8%, it would take us 25 years to be able to hire the 9 people that we need to staff a fire station. So the levy increase was the solution that our legislature gave us to move forward to staff that fire station. So that's exactly what we are trying to do. It just takes a huge margin to be able to do that. And the reason that we're building the fire station is we've collected those impact fees, and those impact fees have to be used in a certain time frame. And if they're not used, you have to pay them back. And that would be a nightmare. Number 2 reason is the building hasn't gotten any cheaper. I don't know if anybody's noticed that. What will it cost next year? If it's $3 million to build that station this year, what will it be next year? Well, we're going to build it, and unfortunately, it'll sit empty unless we're successful in passing the levy increase. The other thing we have coming up, we'll start the 1st of August, is an ISO rating. That's the Insurance and Rating Bureau. Comes and rates our fire department. It rates it all the way from the time that the call is received at dispatch to the time that we respond. And we get there with the equipment that we get there, the amount of people that we have when we get there, the amount of water supply that we have when we get there. There's a whole bunch of factors that go into it, and that is what drives the insurance rates. So when you're going to your insurance company to get your homeowner's insurance or business insurance, they go to the Insurance and Rating Bureau and find out what your rating is. Currently, we are rated a 3 in Star, and we hope to keep it there. But with the growth that we've had since our last evaluation, we need another station. And we'll have it, but we're going to need the people in it, because just having a station there doesn't do anything for us. As our response times have been increasing about a minute a year for the last 4 years. And our goal is to try to respond to all of our calls in 5 minutes or less. The NFPA standard says 4 minutes, but we just can't, we're unable to achieve that. Anything else we got coming up? You bet. Questions are great. Anytime you have a question.
Assuming, hang on, we're going to put you on the microphone because we got people online.
Okay. For last November, do you happen to know the percentage that was in favor of the levy? I know there was a push to pass it, but you said we needed 66.3.
66 and 2/3.
So do you know what the percentage was in favor?
Yeah, in May, we had 46%, and in November, we had 49%. We had a huge voter turnout in November. I think that our fire district, if I remember correctly, it's not exact, but if I remember correctly, we had close to 4,900 people vote in May, but 12,800 people vote in November. We had 5,500 or 5,600 people vote yes in November. So if some way we can get those same people to come back and vote again, it would be awesome. But, you know, and the reason for having these public information meetings is we are very transparent. And we hide nothing. We want everybody to know the correct information. There is a lot of false information on social media. And it seems like social media is where a lot of folks get their information these days. So we want to make sure that you get the real information. You know, like if Mayor and I've talked, we live in America, you get to vote yes or no, and I can't ask you to vote yes or no. But what I want you to do is when you go to the poll, to have the correct information to make your decision. That's what I hope out of these public information meetings. This will be number 9 that we're doing in March. And out of the 9, since we started talking to homeowners associations, we've had a little bit better turnout, but we had 2 months, but not one person showed up. In Middleton, we had somebody, at least somebody show up at every one of them, but in Star, we were 2 months that absolutely nobody came. Just disappointing. I just want to give them the real information.
Cool.
Is there any other questions?
You said currently the rating is a 3. What is it out of?
10.
3 out of 10
10.
is
The
our
one is
current
the
rating.
best.
Okay, that makes me feel better.
And
Question.
My name's Paul, living here in Star, obviously. And I went to the informational meeting that you had prior to November election, Chief, and I was really appreciative. And I talked to some people, mostly on social media, about the levy, and I got a lot of, I thought it was innocent. I just was like, yeah, I really appreciate the chief giving these meetings. He seemed really sincere. And I got a lot of blowback from people, you know, I'm on a fixed income and can't afford more property taxes. So, you know, let them figure it out some other way than taking it out of, you know, the levy. And I just want to be clear there, you don't really have another option to fund this, correct?
that is correct. There is no other option to fund it. And for those folks, we're going to get a lot of information out on social media. We're working on the videos and more updated information. This little flyer that I have right here. Oh yeah, here, I'll pass these out. This gives you a really basic idea of why this happened. So when that property tax reduction House bill passed and was signed by the governor, this simple explanation shows what it is an average house price of $550,000, which makes a total valuation of $2.75 million. With a levy rate of a 0.0072, each home paid $400 a year with those 5 houses for their fire district property tax. All the property taxes on your sheet, on your assessment, that's just the fire district. So the next year, we said that there was 5 more houses built, which made the 10, which increased the value by $5.5 million. The levy rate decreased because we can only raise the budget 8%. So each home paid $216. So the new growth is paying less than you did the year before, and they're diluting your property tax. That's why your property taxes are decreasing every single year. We've had a lot of growth in Star. We can't hide that. And so when you sell, I don't know, how many permits did you sell in 24?
We had 1,078 residential housing permits in fiscal year 2024, which is October 1 to September 30th.
So
That's a
when you,
lot.
when you sell that many houses and that many houses are put in there, and the mayor and I had figured it out one time, it was 380 or 400 houses it takes to hit your 8% cap. Basically, everybody after that isn't adding to the budgets that either of us. I mean, this isn't. I'm talking about the fire district now, but this is all. Everybody is suffering from this. If you're a city, if you're a county, if you're any other special district, they're all suffering from it.
ACHD suffers the same consequences too. So everybody.
My position at ACHD is connecting with the community. Have you talked to any real estate associations or real estate agents about this information versus also going to the HOAs?
We have, yes.
Oh, okay.
And we have asked them to help us in changing legislation. We've asked the development community to help us change legislation. We just don't get a lot of help going out and doing it. So we're just doing it ourselves as much as we can. I think it's been a help going to the HOA meetings. I hijacked them for the first 10 minutes. One last night wasn't very happy with me, but they're in our building, so they're kind of a captive audience.
Right.
And so I just go in there. I try to give them just a little bit of information like I gave you guys. And then I ask them to just come to this meeting. And for 2 hours, we can answer any other questions and we can take a deep dive into what is going on and why we got put in this position, what you guys are familiar with.
Okay, when you explained this before, you said if it doesn't pass like last time around, then it would be worse the next time? Or am I confused?
So what happens is some of the social media stuff like you were talking about, people will say that, see, they didn't need as much money because in November it was in May of last year, it was $56 per 100,000. And then in November, it went down to $46 per 100,000. And then you get the people on social media say, see, they were lying to us. They didn't need that much money. The money we're asking for is a $2.25 million, hasn't changed. So what we're asking for in May is still the $2.25 million. The state doesn't allow the numbers out until June. We know what the growth was. And between Trevor and I and Robin, we can figure out exactly what our valuation is, but the state won't let us use that number for our ballot language. We have to use last year's numbers, which is still going to be the $46 or whatever it is. It's close to $46. But then if it didn't pass in November, we can use the new numbers that we have because they come out in June after the election. What I may have said, which I have said, is that the need is not going away and the cost of everything. I'd not like to sit here and complain to any of you guys about inflation because we all got it. It doesn't matter who you are or where you are, there's an inflation problem. So the $2.25 million in November, our boards are going to have to make a decision if they're going to raise that number. Because the 2.25 million might not be enough after 2 years that we need more to collect than that.
If it had passed then, that number would not have gotten raised. That tax would have been the same.
Right.
And then it had the potential to go down.
Every year that we have growth, every time we have growth, that number per $100,000 will go down.
So let me
We won't collect, hang on one sec. Before we are able, if it passes in May, we won't collect that money until 2026. That number is going to be very close to $30 per $100,000 based on what we know.
So that 40, would you say it was 46 on the ballot language is going to be 40?
$46, yeah.
So that doesn't include all the 1,078 houses that came online last year. Because that number is not going to be included until this June's property tax assessment notice valuation thing, whatever they do there, right? So that number is going to drop quite a bit from there. So even though you're approving it, you're not approving an actual dollar amount per 100,000. You're approving the total dollar amount that they need, which is different that we're finding out from people coming from other states that prove a dollar amount per 100,000. And that's the challenge that we have is getting that mentality out of their head on how we do it here in Idaho, right? And so they need to understand that he's asking for 2.25 million or something like that, not $46 per 100,000. That's just the language that they're required to put on there, how much it's going to cost you per 100,000 at this time. And it continues to go down. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay.
Okay, I have a question, Greg.
Yes.
This is Mel. And the last time when we approved the bond or the levy for the fire department, it was a certain set amount. And then I've looked at my property tax bill and it was like next to nothing to pay for the new firehouse.
So yes, what she's alluding to is in 2020, we asked our citizens to vote for a bond so we could remodel the building that we currently are in and remodel it into a fire station, was a vitamin factory. It was a $4 million bond. It was around $18 per $100,000. Today, that number is like $2.26 because the
Goes right down.
value of Star is higher, and then all these houses have added to that value to drop that number down. And that's what the mayor was talking about is a lot of places when they ask for a levy increase of $56, like that was our first number, that number stays at $56 forever. Well, we got an ad valorem tax in Idaho, and it's not legal to keep that number at $56 per 100,000. And the word permanent really scared a lot of people because they took the $56 and the word permanent, and they thought it was going to be $56, $100,000 permanently forever. That number will always decrease.
Another question. The demographics as far as it young adults you have more of, or you have senior citizens, or do you?
We got a combination of both. The real reason I say that is if you look at our schools here and the number of kids that we have coming in, it's incredible. On top of a lot of retirees, right? We got a lot of retired law enforcement, a lot of retired military, a lot of retired firefighters that are coming into our community on top of other retirees, right? And that's driving that demographic up on the fixed income side, right? Which is very interesting. But I do want to say, I was going to say, so in 2020, in 2019 when it passed, and it went into effect in 2020, I think. 2020. Well, it was when I ran for mayor the first time, I think it was on the ballot. And that was in 2019, right?
It went into effect for our first budget in 21, didn't it? Was it 20?
21, yeah, somewhere in there. So our value as a city was about $600 million. Right now, we're at about $4.4 billion value as a city. And that continues to grow. It's probably going to grow about 600 million this year based on the commercial growth and the residential growth that we've had. And so that valuation plays into that to whatever your total levy is going to be, $4 million or whatever it is. That plays into that number, which will drive down that dollar amount per 100,000 quite a bit, right? So, and it plays in not just into this, but it plays into our sewer bond that we're paying back. It pays into some of ACHD stuff too with the growth that we have. Their dollar amounts going down per 100,000 as well, right? Everybody's just going down. If you were to look at your number, if you were here in 2019, right, and look at it today, is that what we figured out was 19?
Yeah, so we have like 15 houses that we've tracked since, we've tracked them for 10 years, but just in property value. It's interesting to look at the percentage that they pay less in total property tax and the percentage that they pay less to the fire district. And most of them are from 24 to 39%
Yeah.
less than
Less today than they were back then, which is interesting. So, cool. Are we good with the fire? Oh, you got a question?
Just one, and
Okay.
I apologize if this has come up.
No, you're
Sorry.
fine.
Can we not supplement staffing with volunteers? I know that's not free and it's like pulling teeth, but a lot of places do pretty well with volunteer fire.
That topic comes up often in our public information meetings, and volunteerism is extremely hard to get these days. The training that is required is, and so I've been told, you got a lot of retired firemen here, they would love to do it. And so I've had meetings with them, had coffee with them, and the key word to these retired guys is retired. And so like one guy's like, "Hey chief, I just want to drive that water tender whenever I can." I said, "All right, I'll give you a call and we'll see what happens." He's going to be on the golf course. He's going to be at his favorite fishing hole or whatever. And we need somebody right now. And being able to get the amount of them that we need to open a fire station. And I don't know if you've seen, there's been some media ads that the Idaho Fire Chief is sponsoring for volunteers because we're suffering from volunteers across the state. If you look at the state as a whole, there's like 168 fire districts in the state of Idaho. There's some ambulance districts that are in these small towns in the state that have 75, 80-year-old person driving that ambulance because there is nobody to take their place.
Scary. Right?
Hey, as an growing older person, I'm glad the first people on the scene is the fire department.
That's right.
The second is the paramedics. So I mean, it's like, come on, people, let's.
Right. Cool. Any other questions for Chief, well, I'm sure we'll come up with some. Are you good there? Okay, we'll go to Chief Essing here real quick, and then we can talk about some of what you guys want to talk about.
All right, Chief Zach Hessing, Star Police Department. Just to kind of give you, I know I kind of sometimes repeat myself, but hopefully for some of you that are new, and I'm grateful that few new faces that have come to this meeting, we really appreciate when people come and ask questions. We want to know what your concerns are and make sure we're getting out the right information to what we're doing. So Star Police Department has 20.25 commissioned deputies. We are a contract with the Ada County Sheriff's Office. So what that means is that the mayor and the city of Star ends up contracting with the Ada County Sheriff's Office for police services in Star. So I am a lieutenant at the Ada County Sheriff's Office assigned as the chief of police for Star Police Department. And I'm included in that 20.25 commissioned. We have 10 patrol deputies out there that work 5 on one side of the week and 5 on the other side of the week. We have 2 sergeants, 1 on each side of the week to supervise them. We have we call it the POP team, so our problem-oriented police team, which is 3 individuals, 2 of them that are in the, as you're driving around in the unmarked blue Ford Explorers, doing mostly traffic enforcement, but they also focus on any type of warrants that come up in the city of Star, any issues that we see, problem houses, those type of things that they work on. The third person is Sam Goldstein. He's our K-9 deputy. I think you guys have probably met, a few of you probably met Luna. She is by far the prettiest deputy that we have. And she's very popular in the city of Star right now. She's actually right now, as I speak, they're right next door to the police department going through training. So she will be in, I believe it's a 40-hour course training to get certified for narcotics. So she's a single purpose dog. When I say that, it means that you have single purpose dog and you have dual purpose. Single purpose is just narcotics. So when we pull somebody over, you can go sniff that car and see if there's drugs in that car. A dual purpose would be narcotics and apprehension. We don't use the term bite dog. That's what some people like to call it, but apprehension dog. We don't have an apprehension dog in Star. If we need that, we do have the Ada County Sheriff's Office that has apprehension dogs that can help us out.
We need that, we're in trouble.
Yes.
We don't,
Right,
Yeah.
right. So we have the POP team. We also have, so we have 3 detectives, 2 person crime detectives. They do any felony crimes from person to person. And then the property crime detective, which is any felony property crimes that happen in the city of Star, such as burglaries, grand thefts, those type of things. We do have an administrative sergeant. He does help with a lot of the day-to-day activities for the Star Police Department. He also supervises the 3 detectives and the POP team, on top of other duties that come up that I need him to help out with. And then we do have Detective Takeuchi, who's our school resource officer, who's assigned to Star Middle School. He has been out there for, is this your 3rd year? Yeah. 3rd year. I will tell you, I've been chief of police for about 4 years for Star. We've had some great, and before that, I worked out in Star starting in 2016. But we've had some great school resource officers there at Star Middle. But Detective Takeuchi, the first year he was there, I was very impressed that when I would walk through the school with him, how he knew so many of the kids' names. He got involved in the kids quite quickly, and the school administration over there really likes him being there. So he helps out both mainly for Star Middle, but he does come over and help Star Elementary if they have something come up as well. We are very proactive in what we do. Our last report, I give out a report every month. I come in front of City Council and I present that to City Council, letting everybody know what we did that month. It kind of gives you a little bit of a crime trends that are happening in Star. You can see how many property crimes, person crimes, society crimes we've had. It also shows how proactive we are. This last month in January, it was 8 to 1, so 8 proactive calls to 1 reactive. And what I mean by that is when you pick up the phone and call either non-emergency dispatch or 911, that is a call for service, what we call it. And we have acronyms for everything. So CFS is what we call that, but call for service. But those call for service, so that means that you're requesting a deputy to get there. Usually when you do that, something's already happened and that's why you're calling. I always did the other side of that, the 8 proactive calls, that has to do with traffic stops, that's has to do with stopping people walking in the middle of the night with backpacks that we're concerned about, they're a little suspicious. We go to the schools all the time. Star Elementary by far is probably one of the most walked through schools. I think one time when I looked around and this was about a year ago, and we're doing even more than we did before, but we were about 5 times more walk through schools at Star Elementary than any other elementary school in Ada County. And so our guys really like to walk through. What I love about it is Star Elementary, when you go there, you have to literally push the kids back as they're coming towards you to get stickers. They love our police, and I want them to love our police. Go out and play basketball with them. But those are the proactive calls I'm talking about. And so we do try to get out in the community as much as possible to make sure they know who we are. And it builds that relationship with the community. So.
And do you want to say about our with our proactive policing, we're seeing and the focus, we're seeing our crimes per thousand going down quite a bit?
Yeah. So to give you an idea, when the mayor and I went in 2020, I guess, yeah, right about 2020, the mayor became the mayor here. Him and I sat down, looked at the comprehensive plan of what we wanted to do, and we made some goals. One of those goals is to make sure we have less than 18 crimes per 1,000 people, because that was the goal, to keep that crime as low as possible. Well, this year, and the final numbers still have not been finalized, but it's not going to change much because they're darn close to being finalized as we work with NIBRS and the federal side of that. But we're at about 12, I think it was 12.4 crime per 1,000. We dropped the year before, we're right at the 18. And so we've actually dropped by a lot the amount of crime rate that we have here in the city of Star. And I truly believe part of that is the good work that Detective Takeuchi does, that the patrol team does, that our POP team does, getting out, being proactive, and kind of being seen so much that it's diminishing people wanting to come to Star to create problems. So yes, we are dropping the crime rate. So
Go ahead.
yes, you're welcome, and we always will be.
Yes, we will be.
Yes.
The one nice thing with our POP team, we just put that in play about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, year and a half ago. We've already, the amount of drugs and stuff that they push off the streets, right? It's become known not to bring your drugs through Star now in the drug community, because these guys are very active. And then with Luna on board, that's going to help us even more with that, right? And so our goal is to try to keep the crime as low as possible. We want it family friendly. I always hear from folks that have moved in that they can't believe that their kids can walk freely on the streets. That's crazy. So that's crazy for me to think, because I never lived through that nightmare, right? So that's what we want to do. And then on top of that, Sergeant Takeuchi here is going to be our he's going to be our Baywatch guy down at the Freedom Park during the summer. So we discovered last year at Freedom Park, you guys been to Freedom Park? Last summer, we had an explosion of people show up there. Part of that, I think, is because Eagle Island was closed, right? And so we decided during the summer months, when it's not in school, we're going to keep him here in Star, and he's going to be down there stationed at Freedom Park, keeping those kids in check, right? They'll be all his kids anyway, right? We'll know who's not, yeah. And so we have a police golf cart that he can drive around there. We got some e-bikes. I mean, we got some different things for him to be able to go out there and check on that stuff, which is going to be awesome, and help keep that area safe all summer. So thank you. Yeah, and we're going to get him some new tan shorts, and did you know that?
Some shorts and boots.
Shorts and cowboy boots. That's right. Did a dangle on that. So it's the policing thing has been very successful for us as a community. So. Any questions on the policing thing, on the SRO stuff? Because I know, go ahead and ask that. Oh, we'll start back here.
I just have a couple comments. One, we're very happy to be Star residents. This town is unlike so many others. And a huge thank you for you guys and for what you do. I don't know if you get the accolades that are just, but we sure appreciate it.
Yeah, we have to have a PT program specifically for these guys because of the amount of cookies that come down to these stations, man.
Absolutely.
It's incredible, right?
Well, and just to add to that, and thank you for that. One thing that's been really nice about people that are moving to Star and the community of Star is it's easy, well, it's easier for our guys to be proactive. And the reason being is people see that as a good thing. I know some, not usually in Idaho, but some areas, they see that as, oh, they're just going out harassing people, or they're going out. That's not what we're doing. We're going out there and we're actually really trying to build relationships with the community. So I appreciate that. And the Mayor's right. We get a lot of cookies and donuts at
A
the
lot of goodies.
police department.
A lot of goodies.
Well, we appreciate you too, so thank you. We are Star Elementary parents. My name's Julianne Brewer. By the way, we moved here about a year ago. I have a first grader and a fourth grader at Star. Our concern is the rapid growing population of the elementary school. And I know that another school's in the works, but in the interim, we were looking at some statistics and we saw that in 2021, there were under 200 kids, and now we're at almost 800.
Well, that statistic's not correct,
Okay,
that 200. Because my kids all went through Star Elementary School back in the early 2000s, and they've always had 500 to 600 kids.
okay.
So I just want to let you know, wherever that came from, if it's Wikipedia, we need to fix it.
What I got was in 2021, there were
Yeah.
under 200 students, so.
Oh, I bet you it very well could have, it
perhaps.
very well could have been, yeah.
Well,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
regardless,
Yeah, I just want to make sure that we put it in perspective,
Got it.
really, in reality, yeah.
no, it's more like 760 at the
Right.
current.
Yep,
And where I came from in the state that we don't speak of, school dismissal specifically, very regimented. Kids got out in sections, and here it's like yabba dabba doo and everybody's out the door. The back gate is unmanned. Anyone can come and go as they please. It's locked during the school day, but in the morning and in the afternoon, it's open. Nobody's back there, that kind of stuff. But we're mainly wondering is, well, there's two big questions. One is with regard to school resource officer. We'd like to have our own, obviously, dedicated. The fact that you have to go to how many different schools? 5?
no, he doesn't, he's,
Oh, the other officer,
Yeah.
5. I
So-
can't even.
so he's permanent out here. The other one is the one that's on that grant
Okay.
that shifts around.
That,
to the
because
middle
5
elementary
schools would be,
Yeah.
that's overwhelming. I can't even fathom. And I'm retired myself. And I can't, that blow my mind. So I don't know if, what's in the works, and you guys can pipe in, but that's our big concern is the safety there, as we've got so many students. And I do have a second question, but if you guys want to.
Let me, yeah, let me answer that. You want me to answer it real quick? Or do you want to answer it?
I don't know
Unless you were
what you're going to answer.
But I'm going to make it up as we go. No, I'm kidding.
Okay.
Let me give you some more information. There's over 200 kids that get shipped out of Star to school in Eagle right now. Everybody's south of Highway 44 here, right? You're right about the 700. We did approve the elementary school last Tuesday, I think it was, at the city council meeting. The West Ada School District plans on starting in June and hopefully having it open in 2026, the fall of, which will shrink that. What they figure it's going to be is probably bring those back down to the normal 500-600 levels for a little bit, right? We as a city have 6,000 approved platted lots that you have to be built. Just think about that for a minute. So the need for more schools is going to be there, and that's going to grow rapidly, right? I do know that Chief and I have talked, this has been a discussion for a while on how we can go ahead and get more SROs here. But in the meantime, the same challenge that Chief Tominski has, we have. And so we put things in place like a mitigation fee for police that for every new house that's built, it's a one-time fee that helps us pay for additional officers. So it's a challenge for us to add an SRO. But in the discussions we've had, we're going to try to figure out a way to where it's a possibility of us sharing in thirds between the school district, maybe the sheriff's office, and us on an SRO that could be shared between the two elementary schools, right? When they come in. But at the same time, we do have an office there that our detective works out of occasion when the other SRO is not there. So we'll always have a police presence there at the school. We try to as much as we can. That's why these guys walk through it so much, right? On there. That's our way. It's a hard one. I need officers on the street. And if I can utilize those officers in the school and do these walkthroughs and achieve the same thing versus a dedicated SRO paying that, I think I want the officer on the street over more, because they'll be here all day, right? Does that make sense? Yeah, yeah.
So to give you an idea, when we talk about the school resource officer, that we actually got off a grant, and that was just, we got lucky to get that grant, but he's split between 5 elementary schools, which is ridiculous, right? In my opinion, every school should have their own school resource officer. The problem is that West Ada School District just doesn't have the funds to do that. And so what we did as a city, because we talked about, well, and we've been talking about this third. West Ada can't come up with the third, and so it didn't happen this last go around. But what we did do is the city of Star added, wasn't last year, the year before, detective, a person crimes detective. Instead of him working out of the police station, I went and met with Principal Adams over at Star Elementary, and he was able to find, and it was hard. There for a while, we were kind of all remote, jumping around with laptops in the school. We found an office that he could work out of. I made it very apparent. I told the school staff, he is not a school resource officer. So if you have a problem child, you can't bring him to him unless it's a real emergency. The problem being is because he still carries a caseload for person crimes, or for those person crimes that he reports that he's doing. But if somebody comes to school to harm those kids, he's there already on scene. And so that was the idea behind that. And then starting in January, so just last month, we had this other school resource officer that started. So that's Detective Masters, so Tyler Masters. He comes out, usually he kind of hits and miss coming out throughout the week out here. I know that he's already getting calls from Star Elementary because him and I just talked on Tuesday about it. So I know he's getting calls and trying to work for, welfare referrals, those type of things. So he's out here, he is helping, but it's kind of, in my mind, a Band-Aid right now that it's only the 5. So that the office, we still have that office there, and our detective still works out there sometimes, but he shares that office now with that school resource,
And I think we have TAC goes there. So do you have to go there anymore with this new guy? I don't know.
Yeah, so he's new to the school resource officer position, and it's not just something that you can kind of develop overnight because it's all about developing relationships and stuff. But he's got a lot of elementaries out in Eagle that he has to go cover. So I still have a relationship with Todd Adams. So if he needs something, he can call me. But I have my own caseload with everything that's going on in Star as well as that's going on with the school. At Star Middle School, our numbers kind of go up and down, but I think for next week we have 8 more kids coming in. We had 2 start today. So last I checked, our numbers were about 1,040 kids, and we're the second biggest middle school in the West Ada School District. So there's a lot going on, and I agree that elementary school does kind of get a little bit neglected as far as the services that school resource officers go with it. And there's still not a lack of police activity and services through there. Did I talk to you on the phone, or did I talk to you? So with SROs, you get the security, the police car parked up front, but there's more to it. There's the educator portion, that there's an informal mentor and counselor type of thing that we focus on. So there's a lot more to it, where if you don't get an SRO within that school, that's the piece that you're getting, but you're still getting the safety and security within our Star Police Department.
Okay.
Is there a way to have like an officer at drop off and pickup times where it's very busy, very crowded, kids are all over the place, and the crosswalk, they can't control traffic, and I've seen, cars go out and honk at the kids and almost hit everyone, and it's kind of chaos sometimes.
Yep. So great question. So one, I personally know that's an issue because my wife used to be the crossing guard there, and I'd hear about it every time I got home. Why can't you give us more officers to be out there? She's actually the school librarian right now. She loves that job. But so the other issue we have with that is they're always encouraged. They know when the start time and the end time of the school is, and they try to get there, but we only have 2 deputies on during that time. So depending on what's going on in the city, that's the issue of getting there. We always try to make sure, we know the school gets out right about 4 o'clock. So I think 3:55, I think is what. So 3:55. So we try to get there and try to watch traffic. But if we have a call for service somewhere else, we have to take that call because priority wise, it comes up first. So I'll emphasize that again with our sergeants. Hey, let's try to make sure. But I know that they talk about it often. They like being there, but just depends on calls for service.
And so I try as well, because middle school gets out at 3:05. So by the time that the bus and everybody filters through, there's times that I have some free time before I go home. So I'll run out there and I'll park. The challenge that we have is that's a busy road. There's a bunch of kids. When we do see a violator, to try to get out, I mean, yeah, we have our lights and sirens and stuff to get on, but there's so many moving vehicles that we sometimes just can't safely get out and do it. But still, us being there, presence, a police car parked there usually encourages better driving behaviors.
Loudspeaker public shaming does really well too. Just heads up. Yeah. I did just have one kind of follow-up. So former law enforcement spoke earlier. I've been a teacher, I feel like since I was 5. It's been a long time. So one thing that I see sometimes, and I know this is not particularly a police department issue, but I know in the districts that I've worked in where police and the staff have a great relationship, it helps. Part of the issue at drop-off, pickup, going by, not while school is in. While school is in, doors are locked. They're trained really well. I mean, I commend them. At drop-off time, at pickup time, there are times where I look around and I'll look up and down, like at Star, that left corridor along the little canal where the kids come in and they drop off and walk there. And I'll look down that and see no staff members sometimes. And I'm an adult standing there, and that's concerning to me. So I know kind of the standard plan in a lot of districts is to have coverage with certain staff members as part of their contract and job. They're supposed to be out at these duty stations and manning it. And if that's not enforced strongly enough or encouraged strongly enough, sometimes that can get by. So just kind of a little side note of overall, we just want our kids safe. And I think you guys are doing a fantastic job with that, but we just have a little bit of careful set of eyes on those kind of opportunities that I think that could help. That and our vice principal at the school is fantastic, but she is only part-time, or not part-time. She's shared between sites as well. So with the school being the size that it is, when we're talking about these numbers going up and up, I know West Data is going to be tight on what they can pay for with certain things, and some will be more expensive. But we're kind of at that really critical shift where watching what's going on the playgrounds during the day, having those eyes, if she's not there, we don't have it as strongly as we need to. So just thoughts.
Sorry. So did you see the stat where it said the city of Star is expected to grow anywhere from 30 to 45% over the next 3 years?
Whose stat is that?
I will look it up. I know. No, it was an article. It even says the mayor's response has acknowledged a significant population increase. I'll find it.
Is that the article that came out today on the school?
Statesman? No, I don't think it's today. No.
If we have 1,000 homes a year,
Yeah.
you can figure 3,000 people on, just making it simple math, right?
Yeah.
So 3,000 people on that could be a 10% growth rate a year easily, right?
Mhm. So my question, if we go anywhere from 6,600 to 9,900 in population over the next 3 years, like being a realtor, Inspirato is coming up over here and they're building another development in addition to the hundreds of homes. And you guys are doing a fantastic job of the 1 to 1,000 for policing, having one police officer, 1,000. As far as projecting out over the next 3 years, what does that look like for law enforcement and just for anything else?
So Chief is he's been working on a 5-year plan for me right now. I'm projecting that. I don't know if you got numbers for that or not, but
I got some.
you got some. He can talk to you about some of his numbers for that.
Yeah, so we're putting together a 5-year plan. So if you look at the last 5 years of City of Star, we have grown, and so starting in 2019 to 2024, we've grown about 11%. But in the last 2 years, we've grown just over 16%. And with this new number of 1,078, that matches kind of that 16%. So I think we'll keep growing that 16%. So if you look at those numbers, there's quite an increase of population growth. The mayor's done a fantastic job on being creative on how to fund these positions, because the 8% cap that both Chief Tominski and myself and the City of Star is under, it's really hard. You look at it business-wise, if you're growing at 16%, but you're only bringing in 8% revenue, how do you keep the doors open? And that's the issue we're going to have, because really, if you look at property taxes, and I know the mayor talks about it quite a bit, 100% of property taxes go to the Star Police Department. Well, right now, we're over, because I think it's about 1.9 million. Is that about?
Yeah, so we only levy just over $2 million on property taxes and our police is $3.5 million police budget. So we have $1.5 million gap that we're filling every year with what you're probably gonna talk about.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's the issue we run into. As I, just yesterday, and I've actually got it out in my car, I'm looking at this 5-year plan. I mean, in 5 years, if it's 11% growth, so the minimum that it's been so far, you're looking at the city of Star will be about 34,000 people, where the high end of that is about 47,000 people. Well, that means right now we have 20.25 deputies. He's the 0.25 that I'm counting, right? Not that he's a quarter of a person. He's really a lot better than that. But because we're keeping here in the summer, because during the school year, he's working over there. So during the summer is that 0.25 that we're paying for. Well, if you look at that, that means in 5 years, we're going to have to add, potentially anywhere between 14 and 27 people to the city, to the police department. And we have, I mean, it's about $150,000 when you include all the equipment, the salary for the officer, the hourly wage of the officer, and all the benefits. So it's definitely a challenge. I will tell you that my focus as each city has a different focus when it comes to their chief of police. My focus is going to be more patrol. And the reason being is that's the foundation. They're the ones going those code 3 calls. They're the ones lights and siren. When you call 911, it's important we get there as fast as possible. We as a city of Star have a goal to be under 4 minutes when responding, because seconds matter when you respond to those. But my second thing is the schools, because Star Elementary, these schools, that's my greatest fear is that anything ever happens at the Star Elementary School. So trying to figure out, and we've talked about different ideas, especially with this new elementary school coming in, the future of the high school. Where do we put maybe the future police station at, or a substation? Those type of things that maybe will help protect these schools. I mean, just parking a car out in front of a school is a big deterrent. So we're looking at, okay, if I add 2 patrol, and then it's going to be, I mean, I have it all planned. I don't know if you want me to go into what personnel wise I'm looking at the next 5 years, but we're looking at to make sure we stay at that. But yeah.
But I do want to, so there's that funding gap, and this is how we're taking care of the funding gap right now on a temporary deal. We put together a mitigation fee program where every new house pays about $3,500, $600 into a fund to help pay for these new police officers. So if you take that times 1,000 houses, doors that we do every year, that's quite a bit of money. So that's how we're funding that gap. At the same time, Chief Tominski, myself, and some of the legislature have been trying to figure out how to do something called a Public Safety Improvement District, which would be different, right? But it would require a new house to pay taxes. This is my idea, not necessarily everybody, but my idea is 10 years, say it's $100 or $1,000 a year for 10 years until our property tax number can catch up to that new growth. And every year, 10% sheds off of that. So by the end of so it's $100 this year, $90 next year, 80, 70, 60, right? So, but we got to figure out how to make this work constitutionally in the state of Idaho. That's the challenge that we're facing. So we're trying to find different funding sources for this. That would help them as well. It would also help our EMS, because the EMS is struggling just as bad as the fire district is. EMS in the Canyon County side has been asking for a permanent levy increase also, and they can't get that to pass either, right? So that's how we're trying to fund that stuff. Now, if you think about it, we levy in the city of Star only $2 million on a $4 billion value. Very little money. We are still behind the game on property taxes because we're a new city since 1997. Similar sized cities are at $4 or $5 million. If that House bill wouldn't have been put in place back in 2021 or 2020, whatever year it was, we would have had enough money to cover all of this on an ongoing basis without any issue on both sides, right? And so those are the things that we're trying to battle and trying to fix. But it's also trying to change some people in the legislature's mindset on not to defund our public safety. Because that's, I mean, I always say the reason we do property taxes there is that's a guarantee is a hard word, but it's more of a solid source of income for the city. And if it goes to the police when the economy goes to crap, that's the time when people get more criminal, and you need to make sure you hold your force the same. I can reduce my salary, we can reduce staff, we can do different things like that on the rest of that while we get through that tough time. But we got to keep these guys whole so we make sure that our community stays safe on there. So, okay, cool.
I have a question.
Okay.
Are there any ordinance that dictate which way cars are supposed to park on the street in subdivisions?
As long as they're not up like this, like what's happening down there, I think we're okay.
Yeah, so so if it's not a private road, if it's a public road,
ACHD street, well, aren't they in charge of that?
well, you can call, if somebody's parking the wrong direction,
Well,
we can
the
go.
kid next to me parks the wrong way, his sister parks the wrong way, brother comes, he parks the wrong way, his friends come, they park the wrong way.
Yep, and there's Idaho statutes saying they can't do that. They have,
They're
that's,
doing it
yep,
for 4 months.
okay.
So get a hold of them so they can send, so get pop time. So so tonight,
They send me to a Star Police. He called me, he said, there's nothing you can do. Nothing could be done about it. That's what he told me.
Well, there can be, there's Idaho statutes saying you got to park in a specific way.
Every
so-
day you go down our Pinewood. go
And you're my neighbors. Do you guys live? No, you don't live in
Pinewood.
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 If
Just go down Winslow Bay Way.
Any day of the week.
Hey, Ryan, get that for the ACHD person back here.
Also, your response time for January was 2 minutes and 32 seconds.
My name is Erin Johansson. I'm the Business and Community Relations Coordinator at ACHD. The other people had to leave, unfortunately, for commission meeting. We are not an enforcement agency. So yes, we do own the roads, but you would have to contact the police department. Yes, correct.
Call me back.
Well, he'll take what you just said and talk to them about that. So, I mean, it's as simple as that, but I don't know. It just depends also on, are you in the reserve or not? No, you're in the, because the reserve is private roads. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, I have two questions.
Okay.
When does Luna officially start her patrolling?
so she's going through the training, which ends, I think, the second week of March is when that training will end. So then she has to go get certified through the state. So I'm hoping by about mid-March, she should be certified and ready to
Right.
rock and roll. Yep.
And then where is the new elementary school going?
Up by the middle school on Pollard. The school district owns a lot of land up there that was always been planned for high school, elementary school, middle school, and a technical center up there. Yeah. It's a challenge, and that's the things, yeah, the traffic issue up there is a challenge, and that's what we're trying to figure out and work through on that one, yeah. Everything's related, we're not just talking about these items here.
So mine is on growth, as most people. I'm in the firm belief that if you build it, they will come. So why build it? Because it doesn't sound like a whole lot of folks want bigger.
Well, let me tell you why. Because Idaho is a private property rights state.
Mhm.
We don't have the tools to say no.
Okay.
We're not allowed to do that. If we could limit the number of building permits, I would have done that in a heartbeat,
Yeah.
right?
So, yeah, and thank you. I did not know that. So thank you for clarifying. My second question is about corporate growth.
Corporate roads?
Yeah, corporate growth, specifically, more coffee shops.
Oh, corporate growth.
Yeah,
I
so like
I
if-
thought it said corporate roads.
I think
I'm like-
we have, yeah, no, I think we have a unique opportunity to not be Middleton or Meridian. And see more encouragement for small business versus another Starbucks and another sandwich shop that's.
Okay, let me tell you my philosophy on that. Okay? I'm going to be very frank and honest with you here. Private business, no matter what it is a very important aspect of our community. Most people that you're talking about cannot afford to build the buildings that are there to put those facilities in. It takes the corporate growth in order to create those facilities for those folks to come in. Down here, I'll just give you an example. The Stonecrest development I think it's Stonecrest down there, right? Down there. That Stonecrest building that's being built by the coffee shop, Dutch Brothers there. It's got basically 8 commercial facilities in the bottom of that, and most of those are all local folks. It took somebody to put that in, but to have that corporate side with Dutch Brothers up there that's can provide the traffic for, right? So this unique stuff, but the unique, I've had people say, we got to be like McCall. Well, we're not a resort city. We don't have that opportunity to do stuff like that, right? We can't limit that. That's un-American, in my opinion. And if you don't realize, a lot of these corporate stuff are owned by Star citizens, right? I mean, like Firehouse Subs, for instance, you see them all over? Well, he lives in Star. right? The Dairy Queen, they live here in Star, right? So you see that corporate stuff, they're bringing it in and they're wanting to invest in our community. And that's important for us when we're talking about property taxes. The more corporate business stuff you get in there, the lower your tax burden is going to be because it's going to be spread amongst the commercial side of that. Plus it provides services here locally that you don't have to drive on these roads and go 8 miles any direction to try to get the stuff. So that's my thing. I completely get it. And we're not, and just to put the rumors out there, I don't go out there and start knocking on, and I will tell you, I've had people ask me to get in and out. What the hell if I want in and out here? There is no way. You see the disaster that's happening up there, but guess what? Most of these people that want local would love to have an in and out. So that philosophy doesn't work for me too much, right, on there.
I'm sure you've gotten it a bunch of times. I think I would hate to see the state that we don't speak about come here.
The what?
The state that we don't speak.
No, I get that, but the state that you don't speak about, the same corporate stuff has been in Meridian and in Eagle and in Boise since I grew up here. My family's been in Idaho since 1880. So if anybody wants to shut the door, we should have shut the damn door 10 years ago so no one could have came in here. Right? But that's not the case. I'm all about everybody coming in here because we got good people that are here, right? I think that's just the American dream, American part of that. We're fostering like the Prime American Steakhouse that's coming in. That's not a corporate thing. That's Anderson Reserve, a very family-owned facility, a very nice one in Sweet, Idaho that's decided because of what's happening here to build this beautiful 18,000 square foot facility here for a restaurant and what they call it, a bistro, I don't know, cigar and wine or cigar lounge thing on there. So we do have those opportunities, but it's going to take a good equal mix of both. And that's what we're working towards, right? Even like the Greylock facility that's over here. That's a locally homegrown facility. You know, people look at that like, why does that look like a hangar? Well, there's a story behind the whole hangar look, right? From the family. Do we got a question? Right here, go ahead.
A quick question, Mayor. We attended the ACHD update. We attended the ITD update.
That's Idaho Transportation Department. There you go. Yeah.
Here just a couple of weeks ago and looked at the different maps and the growth and what they're going to do. Our question is what we saw on the maps for the 4416 intersection there. We don't see anything built on their maps beyond that. Can you?
Yeah. So I just had a meeting today with ITD, with their district engineer, the guy that's in charge of all of our region out here. And so they're going to be bidding out the Highway 1644 overpass. So 16 is going to go over Highway 44. They're bidding that out in April. There's a segment that they're going to be doing right away next that goes from Highway 44 up to Beacon Light. With that includes an overpass for Floating Feather to go over Highway 16 into the Eagle side. At the same time, we as a city have been pushing for a light at Palmer down there because all that growth up there is creating issues, right? So there's been a partnership between the 5 entities, ACHD, myself, City of Star, City of Eagle, Ada County, and ITD to try to get that light done over there. ITD's in the process of putting that out to bid to design the light, and there's some right-of-way acquisition that they have to do on that 4 corners in order to build that, okay? There's some requirements from ACHD for Palmer on how big that's gonna have to be because it's an arterial road, right, coming in. So that intersection of that's gonna be wider. So there's a lot of little nuances along with the canal and all that kind of stuff. So that's what's happening here. This segment from Highway 16 to Star Road has been the most disastrous thing for me for a long time because there's a lot of things that have created a challenge to the funding of this segment through the state. It was all tied into an environmental study that went all the way to Interstate 84 through Middleton. And when Middleton got rid of their bypass, it kind of changed that whole dynamic of this whole thing. ITD was able to pull this segment of the study out and save that for funding, but it was tied in with a pathway for the Greenbelt that was going to go from Highway 16 all the way to the Stillwater development where the Dutch Brothers is in Eagle. There's going to be a 10-foot multi-use path on the south side of Highway 44 that's included in that. Well, the feds didn't want to release that initially. They wanted it all done at the same time. Well, there's a 2-year process of them buying 70 pieces of right-of-way from here to there. They just recently got the feds to let them break it out. So now they're trying to work on, and Speaker Moyle, he called me on a Sunday night to tell me this, which blew me away, but he called me on a Sunday night and said that they're working on getting this funded right away to get this section done between 16 and 44. The hopes is to have that completed at the same time as the overpass that's being done down there, okay? So that's that highway dynamic right now. Highway 16, I think he just told us today that they plan to open the first part of 27, that whole new interstate, which is going to change everything, right? Once that opens up, guys, everything's going to change. Now, the city of Nampa, so we've always been wanting a new river crossing at the Kingsbury location. The city of Star goes all the way out to Kingsbury in Canyon County. So we've been wanting a new river location there that'll connect to Franklin and Nampa and then get to the freeway. Well, the city of Nampa is actually taking that whole project on. And we just signed a letter of support that they're trying to get. It's called like a NEPA study. I don't know. This is an acronym. I don't know what it stands for, right? But it's a NEPA study that they have to do this environmental study along that section there to figure out the proper place and what it's going to take. I'm glad Napa's taking that on because they have the resources to do that. If they get that done, then there's a chance that we can get another highway there. ITD is still fighting with Middleton on the widening from Canada Road all the way out to Interstate 84, okay? They did tell me today that the legislature's looking at, this blew me away, the legislature's looking at adding $20 million a year for the next 3 years into the transportation funding. You may not think that's a lot of money, but that $60 million in 3 years allows them to bond for $1 billion with a B, right? So they could take that 60 million into 1 billion, which allows them to speed up some of these other projects here in all of Idaho, but District 3 here is the largest. And so what that means is that Highway 2026 that got pushed out to 2029, the widening from Middleton Road to Star Road basically, will speed up quicker than that. They'll get it going here in a few years. They've been buying right away. You see them, they've been boarding up houses and stuff all along that corridor there, right? So there's a lot of different things and things in place on the state transportation system there. And then with ACHD side, they don't talk about this, but Miranda Gold right there, she's been really beneficial to us coming to meet with me because we get Star Road is moving up on their timelines to try to get that thing done. Star Road is our only north-south corridor for the city of Star, right? That's probably, I think they're undershooting. I think it's gonna be $65, $70 million project because you got a bridge, you got several canals, you got a hill, you got all this that's got to take place. So there's a lot of work that's got to be put in place. It originally wasn't going to happen until 2035, but they've pulled it all the way up to now to start looking at that. So that's a good thing. Okay. So that kind of gives you a little bit in a nutshell what's happening on that. Okay. You're welcome.
Seneca Springs, is that ever going to happen?
I won't ever say never. Yes, it will happen. We just don't know when. The signal is going to be, she was asking about the signal at Seneca Springs. There will be a signal at Seneca Springs at some point. The businesses that are going in along that corridor between here and there have been paying into a fund to help fund that. Okay. There is a little bit of there's a little bit of, what's the word? I lost my train of thought here. We have to go and condemn a piece of property in order to make this Backridge Road work, which will trigger that light to go in. So there's some work that has to be done on that to get that happen. Right now, you see down here, they're doing construction down there on Moyle. That's been a light that I've been pushing for years. In 2018, when I was on the city council, those apartments got approved over there along Highway 44. Part of the deal is we required the development community there to pay for that light, okay? And so they put money in, and we had a hard time getting ITD to allow us to put a light there. We did a study. We paid for the traffic study with their guys, and their guys said, yeah, it warrants a light. So now that light's starting to go in at Moyle, which is great because that helps the Huron River folks that are over there on that Wild Branch. Yeah, from coming through that neighborhood, they could go right out to the light to turn left or right. So that's going to help that out quite a bit over there. So, okay.
One more question.
Okay.
On lights, up on the hill of Star Road, on the development that's going up on top, is there going to be a light right there in the middle?
Yeah, on the hill there. Yeah, so that's another. It's put in a place where you'll be able to see the light. I had a same concern if you're going to crust over that and see where that's going to be right there. Well, they get studded tires. I'm kidding. But I want to just real quick on this.
Clarify where that's at, please, Mayor, for our folks.
It's on the hill. It's on the hill as you go up Star Road on the hill. You'll see where they're doing the bridge work there. The road's gonna go in, there's another bridge. I don't know what the status is of this bridge up there. There's a lot of work that has to be done still up there. That's why you got that dip there. They gotta put the bridge girders in and build the road and then do that stuff up there. Yeah. Well, it's fun to watch kids during school that are learning how to drive, stop on that hill and try to figure out how to get back when it's snowing out, right? Especially kids that have never done that before. Yeah. What other questions do we have? Do you want me just to, do you have any questions online before I go? No? Okay. All right. Let me tell you a couple things that we have going on in the city right now too. We have, I don't know if you guys seen the article, but the state of Idaho has put a lot of money towards bridge replacements over the last 3 years. I think it's, I don't know, tune of 600 million or some crazy thing total. So they have a program that allows municipalities or anybody to take some of these historical bridges that they have to relocate and utilize them. You just can't utilize them for vehicle traffic, right? So we are getting a bridge out of Horseshoe Bend off of Boise Street. And it was built in 1908 by the Fowler Company out of Caldwell. They just removed that bridge, that section that we're getting yesterday. It was pretty cool to watch them do that. I'm going to tell you that the American trades, all the men and women that work that, they're incredible on how they coordinate work and get all that stuff all together and figure out where to cut these bridges and engineer it to make sure it comes off whole, right? They took a 90-foot span that's 16 foot wide and lifted it up with a massive crane that they put down in the water, basically, right? They built a pad out there and lifted it up on shore. That bridge is coming here to Freedom Park. It's going to go across the slough at Freedom Park, which is really cool. And I guarantee you it's probably going to turn into a place where kids prom pictures, right? And all this kind of stuff, because it's an old style bridge, right? Family pictures, things like that. So that's what's going on with that bridge. If you see a bridge coming here in pieces, yeah, that's ours, right? It has to dry out a little bit. We saved a lot of money. It's costing us only about $140,000 for this 90-foot bridge stuff that over there versus building this entire bridge over that slough to connect our pathways out there. To go with that, in the front where that bridge is at, Miss Dana is working on the Veterans Garden out there. It's gonna be a beautiful garden. She's got a good design mind, her and Tom. Is it you or is it Tom? Okay, it's Dana. We're gonna give Dana the credit. So it's gonna be a beautiful Veterans Garden. It's gonna go in that spot in front of that. So there's gonna be probably opportunities if you want to donate and sponsor stuff like that as a business or as individuals to this. It's gonna be a great little garden that's gonna go in at that place as well. We just recently, yeah. Gary?
Is the ever going to be able to be cleaned up, or is it just?
No, we're working slowly on pulling out some of the wood and stuff that's in there. That's going all the way down, but it's always going to be full. We've realized on there. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. I'm hoping. So let me tell you what we did do. Yeah, I know. What we did do is we did put a clean out, not a clean out, but an irrigation valve in there that we could run water to push it out when the water level in the bridge or the river goes down a little bit to try to flush that a little bit. So yeah, we did some of that. Down there at the River House complex, we have that dirt lot there right next to our new parking lot we put in this last year. The council just approved the architects to design the building that's going to go in there. It's going to look like a barn dominium, like an old barn looking building to kind of hold with our heritage. That's going to be an event center that Dana's involved with. Who else is? Councilman Wheelock and myself are involved with them on helping design that. So you'll see that coming out pretty soon too. All of our parks, we got all sorts of parks going on. You know, the Pavilion Park has turned into an amazing park, if you ask me, with the playgrounds, the splash pads, the dog park, all that. You'll see trees being planted this spring over there, and a lot of that, not in the middle of the grass. We're going to use that for soccer, I think, right, Ryan? Is it soccer? I don't know if we're going to do football over there or not, but we're doing soccer in some of that open space over there. We do. Oh, that's my phone. I'm sorry. I was like, what is that? But that's my son calling me. It's a Harley Davidson motorcycle on there. I was like, what? Is someone coming through the wall? We do have some land up north of Trident. Is that where you're at? Trident Ridge. It's like 59 acres of land that's being deeded to the city that we're going to have trailways and pathways that are going to be put in that. So there's a parking area up there and you can go walk, or if you live up there, you can go walk to that. In front of Roseland's, there's that 8-acre school site. That's there. We are actually going to be putting a park in that school site over there. The school's it doesn't fit the school footprint. It's not going to work for a school. I've been working with the West Ada School District for the city to buy that land because I would rather it stay a park than come into some other development at some point, right? And we can keep that open space over there. We also are annexing in the 1,200 acres of BLM land up by Firebird. That's just north of the city. Our goal for that property up there is to create equestrian trails, pedestrian trails, and bike trails, and segment them out a little bit up there. At the same time, we want to work with some of the federal agencies to get our native grasses and stuff put back up there instead of the sheet grass that causes fires. And we're also talking about ways to do some fire mitigation along that whole frontage from those houses. And it really comes to light after you see the crap that just happened again in California here this last few months, right? What else do I have park-wise? I'm trying to remember. What? Oh, Boot Hill Park, yes. Forgot about Boot Hill Park. So the cemetery has that, you guys see where the pathway is we got done to the middle school up there? It's awesome. So right there at Boot Hill Park, the cemetery doesn't have to, they don't have a need for that space for probably 20 years. And so we're gonna put a grass area in there so we can utilize it for sports, but we're also putting a parking lot in the front of that they can use when it's time for them, but we're gonna utilize as an extra drop-off space for kids, families, instead of having to drive into the middle school and down Pollard. It's a way for us to try to pull some of that traffic out. And you're gonna see it, you'll probably see a lot. There's 165 parking spaces in that parking lot. So it's a lot to get people into there. And then we also are working on another bridge from northern Idaho out of Cataldo. It's a 250-foot span bridge. It's huge, right, through the state. That will be a river crossing bridge for pedestrians only as well. An old historical bridge as well up there. We're just in the beginning stages of that. That's going to be a couple years if we get it. It'll help us connect City of Star to the Greenbelt system that runs through Boise and goes up to Lucky Peak. So sometime here in the future, if you choose, you could run from here to Lucky Peak, but this guy ain't running anywhere, right? And so there's some BLM land over there too. There's like 15 acres of BLM land that we're annexing into the city so we can work on the concrete abutments and the pathways and stuff like that go over there. Ryan?
Mayor, I was just going to remind everybody that Dana provides updates on these and all the other projects that the city has going on monthly in a newsletter.
Mhm.
If you have not registered your email address, please come back here at the see her, get your email on the list. And at I think it's the first, right? The first of every month, she sends that newsletter out and it goes over all of these things and many more that the mayor's
Yep,
covering.
A lot of different stuff there. We also have, we reinstituted our impact fee committee. Impact fees can only be used on facilities. They can't be used on people in the state of Idaho. We are looking at a police impact fee for with New Growth paying to help pay for these new police buildings and stuff. We also just recently passed a new trails and pathways master plan for the city of Star, where developers will have to follow this too and help provide pathways, but there's going to be some of that we're going to have to pay for as a city. And so the park impact fees or the pathway impact fees will help pay for that. Our goal is to try to interconnect our city north, south, east, and west so we can walk, ride, or whatever within our city here. So we are doing a comprehensive plan review. Oh, we don't have them on the wall anymore. I forgot we painted here. I was looking for my comprehensive plan over here. But a comprehensive plan tells you the future growth of the city. And we've planned for the city to go all the way to Kingsbury and all the way to the Jim County line for the long term, right? How many of you guys have moved here since 2020? It's a lot of you, right? That comprehensive plan we had to knock out because of the growth. We've knocked out 40% of the available density in that comprehensive plan. It's a lot, meaning there's going to be 40% fewer houses in the city of Star because the growth has come so fast and so rapid since 2020. If it were just to go on a normal growth curve like it usually does like this, we would have been just fine and probably didn't have to adjust that because things would have caught up. But our growth curve is doing this, and it's making it difficult for ACHD. And you'll hear, I get on their butt all the time, right? But they try to help us. They got 5,000 plus lane miles they're dealing with in the Ada County. But I'm selfish. I'm gonna try to get what I can for the city of Star, right, when I can. So I don't care about Eagle and Boise and them, right? And just to be clear, I graduated Boise High School, so I'm very native. Ryan went to Meridian, and I'm sorry. and I'm even more sorry because he went to Bora. And Bora and Boise was always the fight. If you haven't been around here, there's that B on the hill in Boise. When it was the rivalry time, it used to get painted red for Boise High, and it used to get painted green for Bora High. And it was always a battle back and forth, and who wasn't going to get caught by the police doing that kind of stuff up there, right? And we used to call them the green weenies, and we used to throw green hot dogs out on the green hot dogs out on the field. You're welcome. That was back in the day. We talked a little bit about road improvements. Okay, so we are going to have driver's license services here in the city hall. I don't know if you guys know that. We've been working with with the sheriff's office, and Dana's going to do. There's going to be a big post about that, so be looking for that coming up here soon. Our Mayor's Youth Council, I have a very good Mayor's Youth Council. If you guys have kids or no kids that are between 14 and 18 in school, and that come be part of the Mayor's Youth Council. We just spent, was it last week that we went there? I think it was a week ago, Monday. Oh yeah, on President's Day. I took the Mayor's Youth Council, the 16 of them went down to the Capitol building and got to meet with the speaker and with the lieutenant governor and all that kind of stuff and learn that process. And they're going to get to go tour the jail and visit the police and the fire and our sewer and water system. They're going to get to go see that, you know, ACHD. We'll come to ACHD, get a tour. But that's going to take a long time. There's 5,000 road miles. Pack a lunch, right? Yeah, we could do a tour there too. Yep. Okay, next year. You know what next year is? Our 250th birthday of our country. You think our 4th of July is crazy now? It's going to be absolutely insane next year. So we're working on the planning for that. Okay. Yeah, next year. So this is this year. See, in Idaho, we call it this year. But anyway, that's it. We got a lot going on in the city of Star, you know, amongst all the growth, the businesses, the residential stuff. We have a lot of cool events. Dana has put together a pretty cool calendar that you can look at all the different stuff, including our concerts at the River House, the egg extravaganza that the chamber puts on, the chili cook-off that we have. I mean, all sorts of different things that we have going on with Star. And I just encourage everybody to get out and be part of that and keep being part of the community because we can keep this community strong, right? We stand out a lot. And it's for a good reason. I mean, we got good people here, which is awesome. So, okay, I threw that out there. What questions do you have? Oh, yes, we did put here. Good call. So we just, you'll see a restroom building down at the Riverwalk. We just put that in. It's not ready yet. So don't use the side of it or anything, please. It's ready for dogs, but that restroom, no more using an outhouse or the trees, the bushes. We've seen that out there too, right? Out there in the thing. But we have an actual restroom facility going in there. We have one that's on order that's coming in for the Freedom Park as well over there. So we'll have that. It's alcohol-free zone. We have to. I mean, it gets crazy enough. Oh, we do have a diving platform out there. You guys know that for kids? That water is about 18 to 20 feet deep, plenty safe. We've had the Ada County's dive team actually was out there and did a big sweep for us to make sure that we didn't have rebar or anything sticking up out there. So we know it's safe. You did see it come down last year to get fixed and made stronger. We didn't have any clue that we're going to have 50 kids trying to get up on a diving platform and push each other off and stuff. So now it's all safe. You might see tack on a paddleboard here and there. I don't know. Yeah, you can do that. Your office is right next to the rental, so you can pick them up anytime you want. Yeah, do you guys have questions for me specifically? I can answer those and stuff now. No? Did I answer all your questions that you're asking on ITD? Gary, anything else there? No? So a high school is a different animal. I will tell you, so do you guys know how this new elementary school is being paid for? It's not being paid for with the traditional bond money that it requires. The state of Idaho, I can't remember what the House bill was, provided money to the school districts to utilize for facilities. This is the first one being built with that money here at the Star Elementary School. They gave the West Ada School District, it nets out to about $100 million. Elementary school right now costs anywhere from $22 to $28 million to build. The high school costs upwards of $100 million. I used to do that. That was my former life. I was an estimator and project manager for commercial construction, and we did schools, these buildings, all that. And those were always, it blew me away. West Ada, we've had conversations say you need to redesign your schools. This school is a completely different design than their traditional schools. They went in there and they made better use of this. I think they said they were saving like $5 million or $8 million on this school, and also providing more classroom space. Charter schools were able to build schools for a lot cheaper than our public schools were, and they went and looked at those schools and figured that out. So this is going to be a great testament to West Ada and to the state legislature, and we just want to thank them and encourage them to continue to throw money at this stuff, because we have a West Ada School District has $1 billion in facility needs that they need to pay for, right? If we can get that money coming from the state like that, that will help out tremendously for that, okay? Any other questions? No? I appreciate you guys coming out here is it the third or fourth Wednesday? Fourth Wednesday of every month in here at 3:30. We'll have these meetings. Sometimes I'm not always here, depending on if I have to go somewhere else, but usually one of these guys are here, and Ryan and Dana will always be here. That's right. Unless it's duck hunting season, then Ryan's not here on Wednesdays. So thank you so much. Appreciate you guys for coming out. You bet. Have a great